You know what? I cannot think for the life of me of what a proper switch over to this would be. So, the Umamusume movie, Birth of a New Era. So, this hit theaters last weekend, and my buddy and I, who have been playing the game and watching the other series together, we weren't there opening night, but we were there close to opening night. For those who aren't aware, Umamusume Pretty Derby has maybe the strangest concept for a show I've ever heard. Although it's not like it's the only Japanese media that does this, because you got things like Girls Frontline and Ken Coley or whatnot that just personify things. But basically, they adapt the history of Japanese racehorses, but as high school girls, and like they treat the contest as a sort of like a track meet. So what it really just functions as is a high-end sports anime. This particular one is a dramatization of the 2001 racing season, which so this came out in Japan a couple years back, so it's new to us, but it's like from 2024 originally. There's enough going on here that I'm taking a moment to collect my thoughts of how I want to go into it. Because it's like I don't want to go into, because there are so many references. Like, one thing about this series is that it loves to layer in jokes and references. Like in this one, a character retires from racing, and they have sort of a man on the street interview where you have characters who are, how could she retire? And one of them, who seemed the most concerned, is a character who, with the actual racehorse, it was that character's daughter. So it's like, but most of those references wouldn't mean anything to anybody, which is actually going to be a criticism I levy at the movie in a minute, because some people have been saying it's a good way to get into the franchise. I think I disagree with that, but I'll get into why in a minute. So the actual story is this is about the career of a horse girl named Jungle Bucket. Did I say Jungle Bucket? Damn it, that was the meme name. Jungle Pocket. Jungle Pocket. I might say Jungle Bucket accidentally because I've been quoting this one meme with my buddies for months now. That refers to her as Jungle Bucket. And so if I slip up again, I apologize. Anyways, Jungle Pocket. So Jungle Pocket is a brash young racer, kind of tomboyish, but how in Japanese there's a particular way of talking, like the bakayaro, like that sort of like rough way of speaking that you can just hear.
Yeah,
like she is just that is how she is all the time. And it starts off with her seeing a race by a Uma who had become her idol named Fuji Kaseki, and Fuji wins her opening, or the race that Jungle was watching very easily, and Jungle says Jungle had been doing like free racing, they were calling it, which they don't really define, which I'm just going to interpret as she might have been like a regional racer, or the horse might have done some regional races before moving on to the big leagues. And she says, I want to be a racer like that. So we get this montage where she ends up going to the same school as Fuji Kaseki, ends up being trained by her trainer, who's an old man who had retired but came out of retirement to teach Pocket. And you meet Pocket's, okay, Dan Soufflame over here, and this group of NPCs over here, those you could call Pocket's friends. What the movie is really about outside of it being a dramatic retelling of this racing season, is everybody is basically racing against themselves in one way or another. This over here is Agnes Tachyon, who in real life horse racing was known as the Phantom Triple Crown winner, because the actual horse went out there, ran 4 races, won 4 races, including the first leg of the Japanese Classic Triple Crown, so like the equivalent of like the Belmont Stakes or whatnot. But due to an injury, suddenly retired. And in real life, this was like one of the great what ifs of Japanese horse racing. In the movie, well, Jungle Pocket got completely smoked when she went in being completely cocky and arrogant about how easily she was going to beat Agnes Tachyon over here.
Yeah.
Get smoked. And then she basically, for the rest of the movie, has to wrestle with the idea that, yeah, if Tachyon was here, maybe Tachyon would win. And like, does that mean that my victories don't matter? So it's just that type of lack of self-confidence. So it's like Tachyon is racing against her own health. Jungle Pocket is racing against her own self-doubt about what racing without being able to actually beat Tachyon was like. Now I'll get into one of the criticisms here. There are lots of references, and I think that most of them would just be, oh, I played the game, or I've seen other anime. I know about this lore. That's just a fun little reference. So this character here is called Manhattan Cafe. In the actual game, Manhattan Cafe's storyline is an actual ghost story, because she has an imaginary friend who is supposed to represent this one horse they couldn't get the rights for, called Sunday Silence.
Oh.
Who basically looks like a ghostly outline of Manhattan Cafe herself. And what Manhattan Cafe is driven by is the desire to catch up to her imaginary friend, who always is just like tantalizingly out of reach when she's racing. Which just adds more to the theme of racing against yourself. The problem is that the word ghost does not appear once in this movie. They never actually say what Manhattan Cafe's friend is. Agnes Tachyon seems to know what it is because these two are roommates, and she makes reference to, "Oh, are you still trying to chase your friend?" And there's just no like context whatsoever. I was reading people's comments, and one guy had watched the movie with his wife and her friend, and he overheard them in the bathroom trying to figure out who her friend was. And it didn't even occur to them, because there's so much trippy imagery going on in this movie, and I'll get to that in a moment. It didn't even occur to them that, oh, it's some sort of ghostly apparition, imaginary friend thing. They were figuring, oh, these two are studying Tiamapra O here, who kind of serves as the final boss of the movie. Like, oh, that's who they mean by their friend. They're being sarcastic, and it's just like, these are presumably media literate people who watched this movie and had no idea who the friend was supposed to be.
Yeah.
There are a few details like that, although some of it I think is like, you can chalk some of it up to subtlety. Like when Agnes Tachyon steps down from racing, it's not like she says, "I'm stepping down from racing due to an injury," but all the context clues would tell you. That's also part of what bothers Jungle Pocket so much, is that, here her great rival who smoked her the time they raced, not only did she suddenly retire out of the blue, she refused to tell me why. So now, what I will say is that it is a satisfying enough journey following Jungle Pocket. She's a little bit of a generic hero type, but you feel for her through her journey. And while I have some criticism about their vagueness on some details, I think that if you just accept that you won't know who Manhattan Cafe's friend is, except I just told you, I think you'll be able to follow what's going on. Now, from a production standpoint, this is arguably the best animated thing in this franchise, which, given how good Cinderella Grey looks over on Amazon, is saying something. They went insane with the race scenes. So many visual pyrotechnics, so many bright colors. The soundtrack is insane. Like the songs are these like most of the music is just this like soundscape that just blends together with the weird racing visuals. There's a racing anime that I've seen bits of called Red Shift, and that's the closest I can think of to it. It just communicates so well momentum and speed and just like it's expressive. It isn't like a lot of characters aren't on model necessarily during the races, but they do such weird close-ups. Like fisheye lens shots and stretching and explosions of color to represent movement. And I can't do it justice just with words, but
yeah,
it's almost, the movie is almost worth watching just if you like animation in general and you want to see somebody going crazy with it.
So would those scenes work well for someone who maybe be consuming some illicit substances?
You know, as somebody who's ever consumed such a substance, I'm going to guess yes. I wouldn't have thought about seeing this movie high. You might have a bad high if you watch some of this movie high. There are some weird bits.
Yeah.
Then one bit of trivia I picked up about this movie. The voice actors for Jungle Pocket have been trying to get into Umamusume for a bit because it's a cast of literally hundreds at this point. So they have a lot of voice actresses on hold. And yeah, like every time a character comes up, it's seen as a steady paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So she finally gets in as this Jungle Pocket character, and they go, "Great! Now we'll start recording for the movie in a couple of weeks." And she goes, "Wait, movie?" Like she had no idea that she was going to basically be the star of the first movie that they ever made. As I recall the story.
Oh wow.
But she does a great job. Just bouncing between the characters' mix of ego and moments of vulnerability. My only complaint actually is with the last is actually with this character up here, Tiamapra O, who is a personal favorite of mine, and I had seen some people make some music videos out of what I thought were highlight reels of her appearances in the movie, but it turned out it was all of her scenes in the movie.
Oh.
Now, what's there is great, but still, I was kind of hoping for a bit more like in the 4-episode Road to the Top OVA that's free over on YouTube, speaking of free things.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like I think it could be a little opaque to somebody who didn't know the series. Definitely, like there's some anime that you can show to somebody who doesn't actually like anime. This I would not think would be one of them. I think if you're trying to get somebody to watch this, they'd have to already like anime to an extent and just be willing to roll with a weird premise.
Yeah.
But it's gotten some praise. I know that the movie got like it was really enjoyed by the guy who did Your Name. I can't remember the name of that director, but and I could definitely see why an animation director would appreciate this because just on a production level, it's insane. Like there are some scenes, like a lot of the lesser scenes, they're more interested in being expressive than being on model. So you get some weird, like, you know how in 1930s American cartoons, characters, it's like they didn't have skeletons. You get some of that sometimes here.
Oh yeah.
Just for some of the expressive-ness.
Yeah.
But that's enough weeping out over this. Like I said, it's a fine addition to the franchise. I don't think it's my favorite piece of media from the franchise, but it was definitely a worthwhile experience. And if you're interested, it's not being shown all over the States. It's like it was in 600 theaters last weekend, but they did extend the initial release of it If you go to Fandango, you can find movie times up through the 11th. So
Yeah.
you have your chance still.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.